I envision taking blighted areas, there's plenty of them around that aren't used, and the government working with us saying, yes, do this because you're helping us, because we're going to grow food and life-sustaining herbs that boost the immune system, and also we're going to incorporate the educationally.
That was Isaiah Powell, who runs Dragonspunk Grows organic garden in the Bayview. I'm your host, Jeff Hunt. Welcome to Storied San Francisco, a weekly podcast where San Franciscans from all walks of life share their stories, and you get to know your neighbors. In part 1 on Tuesday, you got to know Isaiah through the story of his journey to get to San Francisco. In this podcast, he takes us on a virtual tour of both Florence Fang Community Garden and its spawn, Dragonspunk Grows, the organic farm that Isaiah started with his friend Faheem. In the tours, the histories of both gardens comes out. Isaiah ends the podcast describing his vision of what he wants Dragonspunk Grows to be, now and for the future. Special thanks to Erin of Bitch Talk Podcast for pointing us in Isaiah's direction. Once again, please excuse the mask muffling and occasional wind in the recording. Here's Isaiah.
You know, this stretched way far west, and they sold until this was the last piece they had, and they had this until the last brother died in 1988.
Okay.
And then I believe maybe one of some of their workers or somebody took it over for a short period of time, and it just lay. It was refuse and weeds, and it was just just sitting.
Yeah.
For years, decades.
Not just dormant, but a little dirty and waste. It was wasted.
Wasted.
Yeah.
Completely. Yes, correct. It was wasted.
Okay.
And in 2014, Teddy Fang, who was organizing the Asian Week, and is a very integral figure in media. Because he owned the Chronicle at one point.
Owned the Examiner too.
Okay, so
yeah. When I worked at the Examiner, I think the Fang family owned it.
So he branched out from that to community organizing stuff, and he was doing the Asian Week, and as the demographics in this neighborhood changed, he wanted to have a place for people to come and do something with this land. And at the same time he was securing this, the guy Faheem I was telling you about, at the same time, Faheem was born and raised here.
Okay.
Young man. He was looking for a piece of land. He was calling up the city. He'd see areas that nothing was going on, and they put him in touch with Teddy.
Okay.
So 2014 April, and you'll see the pictures when we go in there. Yeah. So they did this. They cleared it all out, and you'll see what's been going on. And from what I understand, they put in drip irrigation, and they built that structure there. But then it stopped, and I'm not sure why, but then it stopped. So when I came last year, up until June, this was just weeds up to here.
Wow. And
refuse.
Yeah.
And so towards the end of 19, Faheem expressed he always wanted to get over here and expand, and I helped him. We cleared a little few rows on this side, and then we cleared a plot on that side, but it was very slow going.
Yeah.
And then we ramped up in about March.
Okay.
Ramp up meaning, and I'll show you when we do the full walkthrough. And then I was paying for stuff out of my pocket. We were just waiting. We got extra money to buy supplies and stuff like that. And then COVID happened.
I was gonna say back in March when you're like, I've heard of this thing. Called the pandemic.
Yeah, right.
But who knew it was going to turn into this, right? No one, maybe some people, but most of us did not know.
There's the full lockdowns, not going to school.
Yep.
And I wonder if we didn't have internet, would they have still, imagine like if it was 30 years ago, there was no internet.
Yeah.
Kids, what would happen then?
Yeah.
How would the kids? It's crazy.
Life stops.
Yeah. So then, we were just moving along, and then June happened.
Okay.
And then I'm coming back from New York, and Danielle says to me, also, besides the COVID, the unrest, the political turbulence,
the uprising
really ramped up. And so...
That was late May, early June?
Exactly.
Yep.
So she's coming back. I'm coming back from New York. She says, you should dedicate a row of veggies to George Floyd. Like, adopt a highway, and then I said, that would be... And I knew, because of the political climate, something like that would be a catalyst for people to do stuff, and we would get some resources to do this. And I said, yeah, you know what? We'll commemorate a row for him, and then we'll just donate the food. So we're turning a tragedy into a life-sustaining thing.
Right.
And I knew it would resonate with some people.
Right.
But it blew way beyond our expectations.
Right on.
To the point where... because it's something people needed. Also, due to the time we live in this particular time, people are locked up in their houses. They're locked up away. So, hey, come do some weeding instead of it being a laborious. Like, I want to do it, which surprised me too. Because I did a season in Santa Cruz in 2014. Okay. Actually, on a weed farm. It was a farm, but weed was the money maker. But there was food shit there too.
Sure.
And after that season, I said, I'm never ever fucking doing this shit again.
Okay.
I hate this shit. I'm never working outdoors because I came out here from New York. I was going back to New York. So I'm never doing this shit because it's exploitative.
Oh, got it.
Because I was out there every day. Farming is a hard ass job.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that now people would love to do this, some shit that I said years ago. But even me, when I started volunteering, it compels me to come out and do this, and I'm volunteering. Yeah. So there was a shift in my own mind, but now for everyone, because this is a connector.
Totally.
And on top of getting out of the house and getting dirty and work, being physical, the interrelationships. People are, I think, hungry and ready for meaningful connections instead of just Facebook thumbs ups.
Yeah, getting out and getting fresh air, getting your hands dirty, and I think that's part of it too, right? It's like when you're out there and it's not a job and someone's not telling you what to do, and it's like
the volition. I tell you, yes, indeed, yeah. There's this book called "On Bullshit Jobs" by this guy David Graeber. And like 90, and I did paralegal shit stuff, and I think after a while people feel that, even if they don't articulate it in their mind, they feel it deep down that, especially now that they could reflect and see, most of the jobs are bull. You're jockeying papers, you're inputting data. It's not serving any meaningful purpose.
Right. Not fulfilling.
Not fulfilling at all. And there's someone on your back, and you're dealing with this petty corporate BS that brings out the worst in people a lot of times. Yeah. So I came. And this was, like I said, it was just weeds. And this is where we would do the food distribution.
Okay.
And it's from 7 a.m. till about 9:30.
And that was SF Marin Food Bank, you said, that was coming out here?
SF Marin Food Bank, yeah.
Okay.
Every morning they bring a big truck and pallets. And we hand out the food. Like 180 families on average every week.
Amazing.
Line up here. And we'd hand out the food. And the other interesting thing is the primary language is Cantonese here. So it's a lot of body language, a lot of intuition. I'm trying to learn phrases here and there,
Right on.
But I think it also engenders a more soulful communication because, And this is the Florence Fang Community Garden.
Okay. Do you know how long this garden has been here?
Yes, this is 6 years now.
Okay.
So they came in from 2014. Yeah, they were doing their thing. So this was here. I came. We would volunteer. I'd come. I'd help out where I could. Got to know people.
And you said you live right over here, so
right across. Yeah.
So it was something in your neighborhood, and you're like, I'm going to check that out, or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because before I came out here, I figured by volunteering I get to know more people, and then I'd come here offering something, and that's why I wanted to volunteer. And then I was like, what's right across the street? That, because I don't drive, and so boom. And there was a lot of work to be done. There was a lot of places I could help out.
What did you think, though, the first time you came over here?
I thought this is going to be crazy interesting because I don't speak the language at all. And they're all my grandmother's type age, you know, many.
You said average age 65.
Average age is like 65.
Right.
Go on down there, I don't know, but yeah. But what impressed me was the work ethic was just ridiculously on point. But so I was doing that, and I was just geeking off the fact that I one day would be able to grow food and we'd eat it
at
home, and that was my whole thing. But I thought that in certain ways we could amplify the knowledge, because people didn't know this was happening.
Right.
So right on the block I live on, people are like, what is that? And I'm like, shit, well, you've been here for years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's like, I never knew what it was. And a lot of people didn't want to come over because they thought it was a pan-Asian thing.
Okay.
They didn't know it was coming for, and just visually, they didn't even, some people couldn't see the English language.
Oh, wow, they just saw the characters.
So they assumed that they didn't cross the thing. Me being fresh, I'm open to meet. I don't care.
Yeah, just go out and talk to people.
Anybody.
And like you said, like language barrier, who cares?
Yeah, I don't, you know what I'm saying? And I almost kind of, it was funny to me. I was thinking, how far is this going to go?
Right.
With me not speaking. But fuck it, let me try. And it worked.
What all are they growing out here?
Well, we have bok choy and mustard greens, a lot of squash.
I see is that a fake sunflower?
No, that's
a real sunflower.
That's a real sunflower. Ginger, flowering ginger.
Okay. Oh, I see some squash right there.
Big ass squash. There is, I think a lot of miscommunication happens because people don't understand backstories.
Right.
Cultures, there's a backstory to everything, man.
Right.
And I visited another community farm, Alamany Gardens, which is near here.
Okay.
Very different setup. Okay. On first glance, you might say, "Oh, this is very formalized. There's committee meetings for everything." It's a different operating system. Cauliflower.
Right. Cauliflower. Yeah.
And sometimes people say, "Well, it should be like that." There's something to be said, I feel, for appreciating different methods of doing things.
Different systems.
That
people have
man.
worked out that worked for them.
Boom.
Yeah.
And you say community garden, what does it mean? Okay, yeah, it means the production of food. It means, but here, from what I gather, it means a safe place to see your friends. And for the particular community, a safe place to be active and healthy, to maintain your health. A safe place to maybe carry on some traditions from home that you don't have the space to do.
Right.
A safe place to just keep your mind and body active when you're at an age where you could be forgotten, or it's grandma, just let her sit and wallow and get dementia, whatever. So I felt like that here is that's what this serves as. Now I learned how to do things, some things differently, but you incorporate, you try to fit in, I guess, you know what I mean? And I found the language barrier was a boon. Why? Because it forces you to try to convey your messages in another way. And what I learned here is there's a lot of observation that goes on, a lot of seeing how it works and then applying it.
Right.
Instead of, and it works better than putting up a rule book and don't do this. And if you do this, here's a penalty.
Right.
That doesn't happen here. So progress is gradual. It's not super quick, but it happens. And I've seen that with my own eyes. Because another thing I got to mention is that when I volunteered, since then there's no one else has joined. No new member.
Okay.
None of my age range. No one.
Okay.
So I've noticed it seems like this set here. Like I said, people who live here didn't know what this even was.
Right. And it's just 50 yards away.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they definitely didn't know what the hell was going on over there.
Yeah.
So Teddy, we work with Hands on Bay, Habitat for Humanity, and other organizations would come in and do like a day of volunteering, but they weren't recurring members.
Yeah, just one-off.
Just one-offs, yeah. So things would happen, like weeds would come up, right? Before this was mulch, there was a lot of weed that would come up. Stuff, the compost, there's different methods of doing compost.
Sure.
And right before COVID, we had Recology come down, give a class. We were going to put up a dual language instructions on how it goes. And then COVID, and they didn't get to finish.
Okay.
So certain things, and I was trying to work on my way to better in any way that I could.
All of it.
What I saw, the things that I thought could be improved upon. An example of what I mean is before last year, there were a lot of these. This was also a refuge. It was just a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I cleared it all out, made like a little bioswale, a little ditch, put some flowers in it, and put a pile of compost in there to enrich the dirt.
Okay.
Then I left it, and now look.
Yeah. It looks healthy.
It looks healthy. So it's like you start it off, and then by example, by observation, it's like, wait, okay, boom. Yes. So it's no longer garbage here. It's something beautiful happening. I love their resourcefulness.
Yeah.
They're not going to throw shit away. They're going to reuse in creative ways to make things happen. That's what I've learned by watching and observing them. And I love it. And I tell you, dude, last year it wasn't. This is leaps and bounds forward.
When in 19 did you come down here?
I moved here March 1st.
Okay.
2019, and I started volunteering here probably 2 weeks after that. So boom, all this is going on, and but like I said, I'm the youngest, me and family. He has a full-time job. I work from home, so I'm come out, weed whack, I'm doing this, doing that, whatever, trying to help out. Danielle built a frog pond up there. We'll go look at that real quick.
Okay.
And things were going on. So you see the plastic.
Yeah, the blue.
Yeah, and then the white. So, you know what? Who am I to say? Who's anyone to say? Hey, that's whatever. Right. However, we bought trellises and we give and they use. And I think that's a great way to. And look, I love the. You know what I mean? They figure out different ways of doing things. And I said, this is great. And because you see this space, I don't think it would be as beneficial to have a whole bunch of new volunteers come over here, honestly.
Right. Because like you said, there's a system.
There's a system here that works. Now, not to say all Americans, but I've noticed people come, hey, this is ugly, man. This should be like this. No, people don't do it like it. Nah.
Right.
And they don't speak, they're not duolinguals. So and I said, you know what? Over there might be a little more inviting.
Okay.
It might be a little more accommodating to a Western mindset.
Right.
In some ways.
Right.
That's my thinking.
Would you say the two gardens are symbiotic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's kind of what I'm getting from you.
I love that. Yes,
they
man.
Feed off of each other, even though they have differences.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I love. Thank you, because I love that word. I think accurately captures the relationship.
Mutually beneficial.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed,
okay.
man.
All right.
Like and it's East meets West. It's an interchange of ideas, and yes, thank you. Yes. So this is going on, and Faheem always wanted to he wanted to do things more of a Western style.
Okay.
Is what I was gathering from him.
Right.
He wanted to compost a certain way. He's, and I don't know about how exposed he was coming in New York. You're exposed to so many different cultures.
Right.
Boom, and just who I am, whatever. So he wanted to do his thing over there.
Okay.
And I was always impressed with him because he took the initiative to call the city, which I never would have thought of, to make something happen. And I knew that he wanted to do that. So I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to work on trying to beautify this space. And while I'm doing that, you get over there and you get a row going or something. I wanted to get into nonprofits, into the world of nonprofit. And, Well, let's go back so we can do it chronologically.
Okay,
so,
sure.
But Dragonspunk came to me, didn't like, some people get thrown off because they're looking for a literal meaning. And it's one of those things where it just flew into me, Dragonspunk. And that name had come to me while I was actually in New York. And I wanted to, when we started doing the, when Danny had that idea about memorializing Floyd, and then I was like, yo, we should memorialize anyone, if you volunteer or if you donate, you say, hey, I want a row to the Lewis family. I was like, we can expand that, and just keep on. And then after this is harvested, the next, and I was going to even do one for the police. There's a police department here to build, bridges or whatever.
Yeah.
I felt I wanted to have a nonprofit because after this is done, to expand and maybe replicate this or do something like this somewhere else. So I don't want to be tied to the physical land.
Got it.
I want to give thanks for the opportunity, but the service, and that's what Dragonspunk is. It's the service.
Okay.
Dragonspunk is Danielle and I's labor in digging and making the mounds and doing the research, because we're still students we didn't go to horticulture school.
Right.
We're still students. We're still reading books or looking on the YouTube, or reading books and looking on the YouTube and talking to other people who've done it, So that is what Dragonspunk Grows, is that. And that's something we want to do anywhere
you want to
can.
replicate it.
Yes, anywhere where it's needed.
All over the Bay Area, or what are you thinking?
I'm thinking more places in Bayview to begin with.
Yeah.
And then branching out from there. Okay. To wherever is needed most, that we can get to the fastest and we could be the most impactful.
Got it.
And so Danny, she's I call her the patron saint of animals. So she loves them. She inspired a love deep in me and me to go into not eating flesh as recklessly. Okay. She doesn't eat any. Okay. And restoring habitats. Because lately a lot of my studying involves the interrelatedness of a lot of life forms. Even down to weeds. We think are weeds. There's a function that they play for companion for other plants, animals, just life. There's something else I got to tell you that's really exciting. So I was in contact with this guy Vincent, who's an Ohlone. Okay. And this place is Umatak. Yeah. I didn't know about the villages.
I've heard that before. Right. Ohlone is a group.
It's big, and I think it's probably a generalized group of all these different. So I read this book from Alley Cat Books over there, and it was called The Ohlone Way. Okay. It's a very small book, and it is, the way it's written is, you could say it's a dramatization. But to me, it really conveys their way of life. Right. A couple of key points I picked up. They weren't heavy agriculturalists. They foraged a lot. Right. They had small bands. You could go down the freaking Brisbane, and they'll be speaking another language. There's very varied language. So it's very varied. And very few, their ideas of war, very novel. To our minds, where they did have, when they had the wars. No famine, though. There was none of that. Right. This is such a bountiful ass place. Yep. Bountiful.
And the coastline wasn't very far from here.
Exactly.
It was like right there.
Literally.
Originally, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I was talking to once, but the Ohlone today are very sensitive of the COVID because there's a lot of elders, and their numbers are on the rise. By the way, yeah. At one point, it was 100 people left, and now it's like over 800. It shot up.
Oh, the population.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the COVID numbers.
Oh no.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So once this has died down and it's safe to travel out, they're gonna come here and consecrate the land.
Awesome.
And we're going to thank the ancestors. You know what I mean? And they put up language so people know the names of what San Francisco was originally called.
So this is where you started. You said we're right.
So
we're taking us back.
If you could imagine, like I said, weeds up to here. Now, when in 2014 they put down the drip irrigation, And what I understand is the guy who built the drip irrigation, he also built those compost bins. He was going to do this whole thing for make a profit.
Okay.
And in him, something happened where that didn't work out. So he just left. He abandoned it. He left the drip irrigation lines, and he left. So there were weeds, and then there would be black plastic covering parts where he had intended to do stuff. So, and at the end of last year, I helped Faheem plant like a row or two of beets. I remember that, and they came off. They were fine. Then, beginning of this year, he came out and he says, "Hey, Teddy said, we can do the American side, organically grown, no Miracle Grow, because sometimes you'd see Miracle Grow over there,
right?
All organic." And I said, "Oh, sure, fine, whatever. I'll give up my box over there, and I'll just get a plot, and then we could grow food for the family and our two neighbors." Boom. And I wanted to see how much calories you have to sustain, because there's a food desert here.
Right.
There's Foods Co. I call Kroger's.
Yeah, we just drove by there. I was like, that's the only store I know.
The only store near.
Right.
I think I brought my electric bike from New York because I can ride to Safeway down on Potrero.
Right.
But so you walk in a Kroger's, a Food Co. First thing you see is like Fruity Loops, or not no frills Fruity Loops, not even the name brand. You know what I mean? The subpar Fruity Loops, and their veggie section is hurting. So anyway, we came out and we did. We tilled this and hacked away, and then he planted. He did that, and then I came out here and hacked and cleared land, cleared, and so by March, April, I'm up to.
This is of this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm up to about here.
Okay.
With these tomatoes. And like I said, I'm just save up when I have some extra money, go buy a bunch of starch, go buy fertilizer, go buy dirt, whatever. And then, so it was just up to here, and I think we had cleared out this space, but nothing was planted. And up until right before a good friend of mine passed, and he passed at the end of May, and the funeral was in like the 4th or 5th of June.
Okay.
So I flew out for that, and I'm coming back, excited to get back to this, because we had built a little BS hoop house. And so I'm coming back there and say, you should dedicate a row of these veggies to George Floyd and see what happens. And so that week, I come back, and that week, everything else you see. So June came, we boom.
Where's the George Floyd row?
The first.
Is that up here?
Actually, the first row of tomatillos there.
Right there. Okay.
Of George. So Danny, and she's out now, but she's doing artwork. So we should get up at another point. I'll show you the artwork. So we're these placards, and she'll take an image of the person and then collage around that.
Awesome.
But the theme is life. And like that kid who got killed in Colorado, Elijah
McClain, yeah.
That angelic kid.
Yep.
Collage around, and it's all like blueberries, blossoming, fruiting. So not death, but eternal life-sustaining life.
I love it.
So we're going to put the placards on stakes in front of each of those.
Right on.
So yeah, boom. So then the first thing, a volunteer came through, and we bought a couple hundred feet extension cords.
Okay.
So my weed whacker could reach.
Oh yeah. And so that's all this.
You couldn't see through the fence. You could not see through the fence.
So now this land is getting ready for some planting, or
for
fall stuff, or
so now Faheem's always been a part, right? So he came. Faheem wants us to do business. That's his focus, is to create a business. Okay. And I said, hey, that could work too, because you're from Bayview. Bayview needs business investment. You can't have all charity, and there is a way we could set a new paradigm, showing how they can work. Both are needed and it can work without exploiting or hurting anybody.
Right.
And I said, if that's what you want to do, I'll support that, and we could work together. But I am not a businessman. This is growing to, I'm going to eat it, but this is growing for the people. I want to take this to the underpasses on like Cesar Chavez and Bayshore. Mother Brown, which is a food bank on the other side of 3rd, close to the actual bay.
Okay.
There's another group, actually Alamany Farms, they do dinners, so we're going to be supporting them. So this is going to help feed the community, but here's the thing. It's not only about the food, it's also about ecological remediation. Like, we're fixing the soil. Underneath this was sandy, depleted soil. We're going to have earthworms. The compost bin we're getting built. And we're getting that built because, as you've donated, so many people have donated, man. Plant starts. Most of these are donations.
Awesome.
People donate. People from the neighborhood we didn't even know, who didn't know what this was even happening here. I'm like, I didn't know that was a garden. They didn't know about that either. They lived here.
Right.
So it is.
And the GoFundMe, right? The internet getting the word out.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a way of that using it as a tool that does connect.
People who may never come here, and may not even live here. To be honest, that's awesome.
There has been people from other states who've told people here, like, hey, my homie told me in Albuquerque, told me what's going on. The kid lives on the block.
Crazy.
There is a mother and son that live right there, whose cat that is, you saw earlier.
Yeah.
She said last week, hey, I love it. It's an opportunity to bond with my son.
What do you think of all this, man?
I think that this is what this land, it's a blessing for us to be a part of that, because this is what land should do. Aesthetically, visually pleasing, life-sustaining foods we're growing. In this herb garden, all the herbs in there are things that help the immune system. There's the echinacea that I want to continue doing the echinacea thing. We've had kids from Faces, which is an after-school program, come, and they were here before the COVID thing, planning up there. But we want to augment that, have them come. If we have them do Zoom, come. So this will literally bring community together, and it's not just this season.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not just 2020. We're trying to fix the soil so it's continually able to produce life-sustaining stuff. We want to bring the butterflies back, so it's not just the food for the people. And let me tell you this. Yeah. We got a gopher here. We even feeding the fucking gopher. He ate the roots. You see that? This is a celery. You see what he did to it. So we're gonna take care of all of the animals, human and four-legged.
I was gonna, maybe we can wrap with this. You kind of talked about it a little bit, but just hypothetically, let's say, next year, somewhere down the road soon, there is a post-pandemic world, and not just this spot. You talked about going to the, like, what do you envision for what you're doing?
I envision
the cumulative vision.
I envision integrating what we're doing with the green revolution. I'm being optimistic and saying it's going to take off. Everybody's consciousness is raised to it. And we're talking about sustainable jobs too, because we got to have some for them. I envision taking blighted areas, there's plenty of them around that aren't used, right, and the government working with us saying, yes, do this because you're helping us, because we're going to grow food and life-sustaining herbs that boost the immune system. And also, we're going to incorporate that educationally. So kids who might not learn that great in the classroom, perhaps we can augment their education through this, so when they grow up, they have another avenue that they could explore if they like. And taking this all throughout Northern Cali and teaching others, and then they could take it to where they do. And Danielle and I always having a place here, and then taking this to Maui and doing it over there.
That was Isaiah Powell. On the next episode of Storied San Francisco, we'll take another field trip, this time to Liguria Bakery in North Beach, where we'll get to know owner Mike Sirocco. Please join us for episode 28 next week. Music for Storied San Francisco is by Otis McDonald. Photography is by Michelle Kilfeather. The show is hosted and produced by me. Michelle and I have produced more than 120 episodes over the last 3 years, and you can find them all over at our website, storiedsf.com. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as just about everywhere you can listen to podcasts. Please subscribe to stay up to date on all the content we publish. And if you have any feedback for us, or you just want to say hi, our email is storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay strong, stay safe, and stay healthy.